Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our first real episode of Retirement Redefined. If you've been listening, you'll know in the last episode, which was a couple minutes long, was just my introduction to this new rebranded, reworked podcast. And I'm really excited about it because not only do we have a new name, I have a new co-host.
Hi.
Miss Carly Carlson, the CEO of Fiat Tax. Carly, welcome to the podcast.
This is Retirement Redefined with Brad Gotto and Carly Carlson.
When we started this podcast, when it was Matt and I, the first two episodes we did were basically, who are we? Like there was a Who is Brad episode, there was a Who is Matt episode. And so now that I get my new co-host, I would say it's an upgrade, but that's kind of it is, but Matt's great. I love Matt. So maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I want to introduce you to the people. And so this episode is a Who is Carly Carlson episode. So you come in at the time where not only do we have a new co-host, but we have a whole new brand for the podcast. So no pressure to make this amazing.
No pressure at all. That's all right. I thrive under pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you're a tax person, so that's true, right? It's all about deadlines and getting things done. So you're not wrong. And you've got kids at home. So between kids at home, a husband, I love your husband, but he's a big kid.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. So you got a lot of kids.
Aren't all husbands? So yeah.
Come on now. I mean, not wrong. My wife would completely agree with you, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, quick introduction. So Carly Carlson, Carly, you and I met, I'm going to say 4 years ago.
I think, we're probably like in between 3 and 4.
Sure.
We're in there. That's right.
At a Caribou.
It was. Yeah.
Yep. We were set up on a blind business date by a common person. And I knew the second I met you, I was like, this is it. This is the person that I've always wanted under the Fiat brand there to be, not just the tax planning that we do on behalf of our families, because that's super important. But at the end of the day, somebody has to take all that planning and actually file it with the federal government. And not only that, but we see the world from one side of tax planning. CPAs and people like yourself see it from a completely different side. So not only adding in the filing, but just the other side of the coin from a planning perspective. Now, although I knew it immediately, you didn't. I had to wait patiently. So we met about then. I'll get more to that. But before we get to that, I want to get to the personal side. So Carly, before we get into kind of the business stuff and how you fit, how Fiat Tax fits into in the whole world, who are you? So I'm going to start with this. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Portland, Oregon. Lived there.
So
my
not
whole
Minnesota.
Life. Not Minnesota. Lived there my whole life. Went to college there, and then met
What college?
Portland State University.
Okay.
Yep. Did a little stint to study abroad at the University of Wollongong in Australia as well.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah.
Where in Australia is that?
It's about an hour and a half south of Sydney on the coastline.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Beach town, totally a college town. Like the town wouldn't really exist outside of the college being there.
Was that always like part of your plan to study abroad like that, or just kind of pop up?
Just popped up, like heard the opportunity at the school and thought, hey, why not? And I think also having stayed in town, school, like it was a nice opportunity to actually
spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah, move away. It was like the first time I actually lived in a dorm. It was pretty amazing.
So the first time you lived in a dorm was in Australia, not at Portland State?
Yeah, because I lived 20 minutes.
Oh, so you didn't live on campus?
Yeah, I didn't live on campus.
Okay. So now graduated Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Then what?
Then while I was in school, actually, I was working for a small CPA firm as a receptionist. Took my first accounting class, fell in love, told my boss, and he said, well, if you hire your replacement at the front desk, then I'll teach you how to do taxes. So I started doing taxes while I was still in school. It was pretty amazing to have real world application for what I was learning, and have been doing that ever since. So this is my 18th tax season. But I feel
Not that you're counting.
Yeah, right. I mean, I feel like I've kind of done a lot of things in reverse. Like a lot of people will start out in their accounting career and start at a really big firm. I started at this really small accounting firm and then kind of worked the other way, to be large. So I spent a big chunk of my career at a large regional accounting firm on the West Coast. I managed their healthcare practice. So doctors, dentists, and vets who own their own practice. And then kind of got burnt out. Like it's definitely a rat race of billable hours.
Yep.
Like if you're a junior partner at a law firm. And so I left and went to work for a large publicly traded bank. and was in their tax department, managed all their audits and
You got
controversies.
burnt out by large corporate tax and then went to a large corporate bank.
Pretty
Makes
much.
sense.
Yeah, it does. But except I had bank hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that does make sense then. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was internal in the tax department at the bank. But you work
Don't be
a 9 to 5
offended,
job.
bankers. You know about
No.
banking hours. We all know about banking hours.
I mean, yes, I don't want to downplay it, but I did have regular hours, which was really great for our young family at the time. But then I just got to the spot where I missed the intrinsic reward of supporting an individual and a small business owner, helping like watch that business grow, helping someone to understand how and why they pay the taxes that they pay, and like move the needle and strategize of ways that they can get their tax bill down, take opportunities that are there. And I did a lot of that at the bank. It just, to me, at least for me, it didn't have the same reward that it did working with individual families and small business owners. And so I just truly missed that. And our bank went through several mergers and acquisitions, and I kind of used that opportunity to start my own firm. And that was right about when I met you.
Yep.
So I would say if we circle back to that coffee shop conversation, I did say no that first conversation, but really a big part of that was—
You did hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't see myself going back to being an employee. I really had started this journey of owning my own business and supporting my clients and having this good relationship. And so kind of coming underneath the wealth management firm and being an employee again, I just couldn't see. And so I think it took us 3.5 years
It did.
to really like work together on a vision for how the wealth management and a tax practice could join together.
Yep.
And form a partnership to serve clients. But what I always knew from that conversation is that we shared a philosophy that was the same in our approach to client service, to education, to putting information out. And that really stood out to me. And so I mean, that's why we worked together really informally all these years since then. So we've had a lot of mutual clients before.
And I'll get there, but I feel like you skipped a big step, because so far, by my listening to you, the listeners have no idea how you got from Oregon to Minnesota.
I just appeared. Teleported. No, my husband and I have kind of one of those Hallmark stories. I was the maid of honor and he was the best man at a wedding. My best friend married his cousin at a wedding in California. So all of her family flew in from Oregon. All of his family flew in from Minnesota. We met at that wedding, dated long distance for a while, and then someone had to make a move, and that was me. But I used to be really embarrassed to say that I had this like Hallmark, we met at a wedding. Like that doesn't happen in real life.
It does. It does.
It does.
I know. I married my high school sweetheart, so I've got
that's true.
Hallmarky type vibes and going on in my story too. So I love that. I literally last night, as I sat down for the 20 minutes before, my life shut down and I was tired enough to go to bed. I was flipping through the channels on the TV, which not really, that's not even a real thing anymore, but
hey, what?
In concept, I saw that Wedding Crashers was on TV and that's all I can, anyway.
Yeah.
Not the same,
but
that's where my head went. But not the same. All right. So now you're in Minnesota. You talk to me, forget business for a second. Mm-hmm. Talk to me. Obviously, you're married. You have a Hallmark story, but tell me about your family.
We have 4 kids, 17 down through 4. I know. So we've got
previous co-host, 4 kids. You 4 kids. Yours spaced out big time.
Seriously, spaced out. The 17-year-old was Noah's son. So we've got blended family, and then we're in the process of adopting an 8-year-old girl. So she's kind of right in the middle. And then we've got a 7-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're real busy.
So talk to me a little bit about, and I know this is a long and amazing story, and maybe at some point it becomes an entire episode, but can you distill down your family's decision to get into foster and adoption?
I mean, for me, it was really a faith-based decision. But we met her through like neighborhood family friends. Mm-hmm. So we kind of first met her almost 3 years ago, knew that home situation was not great, but she wasn't in the foster care system at the time. And so we just said like, hey, if we have an opportunity to give a kid a safe and loving home and a future, that we would really like to be a part of that story. And she was placed in foster care like 1.5 years ago. And so when that happened, we just raised our hand and said, hey, we're considering, or we would like to be considered as a permanency option. And I don't know if anyone's kind of been through this process before, but the state has to do a lot of due diligence.
Yep.
They have to give parents a lot of opportunities to get their rights back. And they are obligated to check with every biological family member first before they can go to an outside party. So we thought it was kind of a long shot, honestly. I almost thought it was a joke when they called and said, we're going to name you as the permanency option. But over and over, what I feel like is just, there's a little girl who's been through a lot, and I can picture her as a baby, as an innocent child who was kind of placed in this situation that was terrible. And I can't walk away from that. I will also say it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I thought starting a business was like the hardest journey that I have ever been on.
Oh man. I can only imagine.
Yeah. It's definitely harder than I've ever been on. And there are moments that are beautiful. And I watch like our kids just kind of open her or welcome her into our home and love her. And she just immediately was their sister. It's pretty amazing. Awesome. And then other times we were like, oh, I don't know how to support you through all of the trauma or things that have happened in the past.
Yeah. I love that part of your story. And if you're working with Fiat or with Carly on the tax side and her team, I don't know. I'd encourage you to dig into that a little bit. It's one of the reasons that when you and I met for the first time and kind of had that conversation, one of the reasons that I was like, yes, this is opening up a tax firm is such a corporate decision. It's so much more than that to me. It means more than that to families, in my opinion. And it's so symbiotic to what we do on the wealth management side that if I'm going to be, if you're going to be in business with somebody, we want to be equally yoked in a lot of areas. And from a personal standpoint, for you and I, it's just one of those areas that we connected on, meant a lot to me. And so now that we did, to your language, informal business for about 3 years, AKA I referred you families that I thought you should be, that should be working with you and your team, and just kept talking. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you ready?
Okay.
Why'd you change your mind? Why are we here? Why does Fiat Tax exist? How did Brad and Carly to come together from a business perspective under the Fiat Tax umbrella?
Well, I mean, I think we did kind of finally put down on paper, like, what's a vision for how the structure of the business would work, not just like, hey, you want to come do taxes for our family? Bless you.
Thank you. I'm going to leave that in there. I'm not going to cut that out. That's real life, folks.
Uncensored. So I think a big piece was just us actually fleshing out how could this work, and then me having a vision to say, okay, yes, I can see that working in this specific model. But more than that, again, I just think our philosophies have always aligned, and they care about education. And to me, and being a small business owner, it felt like joining forces with the wealth management team created like a powerhouse of support behind my clients and brought a bunch of resources over to my clients that I didn't have before. And the content and access to the podcasts and the blogs and the newsletters and just being able to get financial information into people's hands and to know that it can be trusted information. It's not my clients just like, hey, I saw on Google or my neighbor said. So I really care about that. And it's been it's a passion of mine to serve my clients well and to be maybe proactive in getting information in front of them. So I was really excited to be able to leverage all that you've already built on the wealth management side and to bring that over to our existing tax clients. And then for your clients, like you said, you guys already do so much planning and you're talking taxes with your families, but then you have to actually execute and put it onto a return. And so being able to marry those two together and to like follow through on everything that was supposed to be implemented in the year on the wealth management side and make sure that is, executed well onto the tax return and that it aligns and it's what clients were expecting.
That's some nerdy stuff.
It is.
I love it. So I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then we're gonna get to the way I like to end these episodes. But what are you most excited when you think about the coming together of Fiat Wealth Management, and then us joining forces and rebranding the amazing, in a very short amount of time, amazing tax practice you had built under the Fiat brand. Now I have Fiat Tax. What are you most excited about?
I mean, it might be this, like the podcasts and the getting in front of clients.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, again, I think the education piece and giving people access to reliable information, things that they can trust is really important to me.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good answer. So
Thanks.
let's have a little bit of fun. Okay. I like to end these episodes where we have guests. You're not a guest, but it's your first time. So I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to make you go through this problem that all of our guests have.
Oh gosh.
It can be a problem. I think it's very fun. I would just call it 5 fast questions. I don't even have these questions predetermined. I've not written anything down. I'm just going to ask you the first question that comes to mind, and you give me your gut reaction.
You're putting a CPA on a hot seat. Just, see how this goes.
You're all, fair. You have the title of CPA, but another reason that I really was excited about, being in business with you is that you don't fit the stereotypical CPA mold either.
Not a bean counter.
And I mean that as a compliment. No offense if you have a pocket protector, okay? Those are cool too. Anyway, okay, first question. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite, like if you're going to go home right now and you're making dinner and it's what you want. It's your favorite meal. What is it? Something made at home.
Chicken pot pie.
Chicken pot pie? Mm-hmm. Really?
Like such a good comfort food.
You're not wrong. I mean, it's really good. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so surprised by that. That's so question. This doesn't count as one of my 5. Do you make your own crust?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But I cannot beat my mother-in-law's crust. It's amazing.
Okay. Did she pay you to say that?
No, it's like known. I told her I'm going to stand next to her in the kitchen and I'm going to copy every movement that she does.
Dough is an art.
Yeah.
For sure. My mother-in-law is really good at pie crust. Mm-hmm. To the point where nobody can do it. She's got 3 daughters, my wife being one of them, obviously, and then my wife has 2 older sisters. They can't do it. And so when we bring pie back, it's always this nervous, don't want don't want her to see my pie because the crust isn't going to be as good as hers. And the one time my wife brought home I hope she doesn't listen to this. She brought home a store-bought pie crust.
Oh, no.
Didn't go well. Okay. Chicken pot pie. I love the answer. Now I want some. So now you're going to have to make a chicken pot pie and bring it in. I'll be the judge of how good your chicken pot pie is. Favorite non-water beverage?
Coffee. That took me way too long to come up with.
That's such a good answer. Are you a purist? Or are you you
heavy
fancy
cream.
up? Heavy cream.
No sugar. Heavy cream.
Just straight heavy cream.
You just need a tiny little.
I feel like that's an aggressive answer in 2025. People are so into their, lower fat, skim, soy, whatever. You're just straight heavy cream.
I went to New York City and ordered that at a Starbucks, and I took them 4 times to make my drink. They did not understand. I was like, oh, people don't do high fat cream in New York City in their coffee.
Yeah, they don't do that there.
No.
That's well, I was going to say it's a Midwest thing, but you're not even a Midwesterner. You're an Organite. Yep. Or what do they call you guys out there? Organite can't be right.
Oregonian.
Organite
is pretty good though. No, I started drinking it that way. I worked at a CrossFit gym and that was kind of the way to do it. That fit. We all were paleo and that fit the paleo diet. You could put heavy cream
there you go.
Coffee.
You know who Nate Bargatze is?
Yes.
His coffee ordering story. Have you heard his coffee?
No.
Not just go listen to it.
Okay.
I'm not going to ruin it for anybody. Nate Bargatze is the best comedian on the planet right now, in my opinion. And I'm right. He's got a whole bit on how he orders coffee and how it's scary to him. It's great. It reminds me of what you're talking about.
Okay.
All right. So next question. What is the next book on your reading list?
Man. I am actually in the middle of the Red Rising series, which might actually be my favorite fiction series that I've ever read.
Wow.
And I've read the first 4 books. So I'm on book number 5. So that's the next on my list. But I kind of took a little break because it's like the Harry Potter series. Each book gets bigger and bigger and bigger than the next. And so I needed a little take a break for a moment, but it is like Ender's Game mixed with Hunger Games.
That means nothing to me.
Okay.
Zero.
Okay.
But I appreciate that about you. Guess what the last fiction book I read was?
Oh,
Run, Dick, Run. I think that's the last one I read.
Are you talking about like a toddler's book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, see Jane run. Run, Dick, run. That. I think that's the last fiction book I read. I'm a big nonfiction guy. What is that, 3 questions? I think I'm on question number 4. Okay. What is your dream vacation destination?
Portugal.
That was faster than coffee.
I know, that's true. I feel like I've answered this question like with family and friends a lot of where we want to go. But I'm half Portuguese and I've never been.
Okay. That makes sense.
I had
Get back to the roots.
I have a friend who's also Portuguese that went and they said they felt like it was like going home. Something about that seems really sweet to me. So I'm interested.
Okay. I like that answer. Last question.
Okay.
I had a question in my mind that's not, it would be, I know it would not be very kind of me to ask you. So I'm going to change my question, but I love that came. Now the listeners are like, what in the world? I'm going to ask it. Okay. Now I have to. What's your favorite band? Oh. Here's the joke.
Yes.
She can't name a band, like a band, which I'm not even a huge music guy either, but I can name a band.
Okay. Well, I could like name bands, but then they wouldn't be my favorite.
But if you can't,
like, Street Boys.
Can any band be your favorite if you can't name it?
I don't, that's why I was
that's like an existential question right there. That's an existential question. So that's why, okay, listeners, that was what popped in my head. I knew this was going to be the response. So I'm going to give one more final question. Okay. Let's see here. If we talked about food, we talked about, okay, 5 years from now, what's one goal you want to make sure you get accomplished in life in the next 5 years?
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to hold you to this. It's going on a podcast.
I think 5 years from now, what I would love is that my life isn't dictated by deadlines. So that the business grows in a way that, I can be at my kids' sports or take them where they need to be or travel if they're on a traveling baseball team, right? And not feel like that's to the detriment of my clients' business.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. So you made it through 5 fast questions. Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you. I won't do that to you every episode, by the way. That's a one-time deal. That's also not a promise. But and for the rest of you, welcome back. We were on hiatus for a reason, obviously, and super excited to be back with the rebrand, new host, and the different perspectives, right? As the CEO of the wealth management side and the CEO of the tax side of Fiat kind of come together, putting together kind of the best of those two worlds, not just from a business structure standpoint so we can serve all of you better, but also from an education standpoint in mediums like this in our podcast. So super exciting. Thanks for being here, Carly.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right. See all of you on the next episode of Retirement Redefined.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Fiat Wealth Management. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.